Hey YouTube, Happy New Year. So back with the SGs, even though I think this is more of a Les Paul, this is actually a Yamaha SG 200 from 1984. This is a Gibson SG special from 90s. You can't quite see the serial number on this one, but it's like, kind of dates it because it's got an ebony fingerboard and it's red, so it's sort of early 90s, I think. Don't know. Yeah, so a bit of a battle between the two. I'm not really. I've had this guitar for 20 odd years. This was. So I do understand the whole prestige thing about having. My pal was talking about prestige the other day about having a real Gibson SG because I wanted a real Gibson SG. I chose like from when I started, you know. So then this was one I got, and to be honest, I've never bought another one because this is the one I wanted. So I don't actually play it that often, but there we go. So if we mess about with it. There's a bit of a volume disparation between it. So this one's back to its original pickups. And again, I've got to remember not to plug it into the top jack socket because it's not connected. Because I've not done it yet. And I just need a Pictrum. There's one there. So I'm using the Laney VC15. It's plugged into that 3x12. And just now I've got a Joyo US Dream pedal on, which is apparently a clone of a Sir Riot. So distortion pedal is Let's bridge pick up, neck pick up. So this one's actually got, because it was a hole in it, I've put coil splits in, but I'm not going to use them in this because the Gibson doesn't have coil splits. Could have put them in if I wanted. This guitar feels an awful lot fatter than the Gibson, but I'm pretty sure it's not. In fact, I bet if I put line up with it, it's pretty much exactly the same. No, it's not. It is actually 5, maybe not quite 10mm thinner. This than that. The biggest difference when you're playing it, apart from looks, is where the heel is. On this one, the heel comes in. So if you run your hand down so you're sitting pretty much against the heel, actually played on the 12th fret. I mean, you can still get up here, but you're now going. I can't really show that. You're now playing over the heel, whereas on the Gibson one, if you play on the 12th fret, I'm here. So I mean, you really get to be at the same thing. You're up at the 15th really for the same sort of thing. So this has got a much smaller heel join. Whether that makes it less conductive vibrationally, don't know. One of the things that does with this, which maybe helps the balance a little bit, that might be one of the reasons why. Well, mind you, in saying that, you could probably see if you move the strap button to on the end here, it would probably sort things out a little bit more. It balances fine. It's I wouldn't have said it was neck heavy or just perfect. Quite heavy guitar. This one, as I've said before, this one's been stripped of its finish. I'm not sure exactly what colour it was. It was only available in a couple of colours. Black, white and some sort of tobacco burst. I think it was a tobacco burst, this one. Because there's not really any sign of white or black paint inside the pickup cavities, which would make sense to me if it really was just sort of more varnished than anything else. I do think this is changing colour. I think, I'm not sure, I think maybe this was, when this was stained, because the guy I got it off, John, hello, he sent me a picture when he got it, and it was someone had tried to sand it and kind of given up, and it looked really shit. It looks good. It looks good now though. I think what he's done is he's stained it, and it's maybe been kept somewhere dark or in a case since then. Even though it was maybe a couple of years ago he did it, and I think now because I've got it out in the open, and it's getting direct sunlight from the window and from a daylight bulb up there, I think it's actually getting lighter. Or maybe I'm just getting used to looking at it. It kind of looked black when I got it. Now it's like a sort of I mean, look at the piece of wood it's made of though. Apparently it's not mahogany, but I mean it looks totally like mahogany to me. Apparently it's one of these. I don't, you know, you get different species of wood that it's a mahogany, but it's not mahogany. It's like I don't know what it was called. Yeah, I suppose we'll put something in the. I suppose this one. So this one is pretty much stock, apart from the roller bridge, and it's got an extra switch on it which I'm not using, and it's the output's been moved to the end, and the tuners are different as well. It's been upgraded, so this one's got Grover tuners which are probably better than the Gibson ones. I'm trying to remember something. Play a solo over 2 chords. I really liked it. I'll switch on to the Gibson now. Bear in mind, this guitar is a guitar I've probably only got a few hours of playing on because it's new, and this was my only guitar for, well, I don't think it was ever my only guitar. Well, in fact, it was never my only guitar because I had the Epiphone one at the same time, but this was my main guitar for many years, so this one seems very natural to me. Picking it up, it's a lot lighter than that one. I might weigh them later on. It's a much lighter guitar. Neck heavy wise, it's not. Neck dimensions, I would say it's slightly chunkier, but not miles away from that one. Bearing in mind that that one has the paint's been sanded off it, so it's feasible that you know, if you sanded the paint off this one, it would be exactly the same as that, because it must take something off, you know. I mean, if we're talking about different neck profiles, a lot of the time it's a millimetre or 2 millimetres, which seems like a lot when you feel it, but you know, in actual terms, it's not very much. So yeah, much better high fret access on the Gibson. The tuners on it, well, it's got the original tuners, the snotty ones, which are pretty shit. But I did a video for my pal, had a, I think he's still got it, he's got an Epiphone SG, a white one with a maple fretboard, which is rather interesting and very nice. But he's got Grovers in the headstock, which makes it neck heavy. So I think one of the reasons, I mean, I know it doesn't seem like what difference in weight can there be between, you know, like Grovers and the super lightweight tuners, but it makes a huge difference because you've got this whole lever thing. So you know, you put a wee bit of weight on there, it doesn't take much to tilt it. You know, it's like that. I'm not exactly applying a lot of pressure there to make it neck heavy. So just having Grovers on is maybe, although you think, oh, Grovers, that's a great idea. On some guitars it isn't. My pal Jerry had problems with his one. I remember I was wiring in push-pull pots for him. I opened up and there was like something in the cavity, and there was like a wee bag of ball bearings So his thought was, if you weighed it here, you know, because it's such a small amount, if you put a wee bit of weight on this side, it makes it less neck heavy. But this one, as it is, it's like, it's fine. I don't think I didn't move the strap button or anything like that. Yeah, it feels a lot thinner. I think, as I said there, it's maybe a couple of mil thinner this way, but see, because this is chamfered, it feels an awful lot thinner than it is. The same sort of thing happens with a Strat. A Strat feels thinner than it is because it's got these belly contours and stuff on it. This has got the original pickups at the 490 and 498s, something like that. Don't know. Can't remember. One of my noise coming out, maybe a slightly dirty input jack. So this one is a bit louder than that one, and sounds more like a Gibson because it's a Gibson. Also, I would say that I don't know how. No, maybe not. This one seems like the neck's shorter. Like when you're playing the other one, that might be something to do with where the strap joins. Just it feels, you know, the strap joins kind of here on the Yamaha, so it feels like the neck. This one it seems to be closer in. I don't think it is though. I think it's exactly the same, but the same scale length and all that. So just the neck pickup on this was always the one I really liked. The neck, which might not sound pure amazing, but I always remember the neck pickup and this sounded amazing. It does, many years this was my guitar. Yeah, I should probably have this on the wall. I think I might do that. I might have a wee stint of this, seeing as I've got the Fender Strat now, which is down there. Oh, the Fender Strat and the Gibson SG, which is kind of like the ones that everyone knows, kind of normal guitars, and it'll be like, there's this guy raving on about how his West Tone's pure amazing, and it's like, who's never played a real guitar? I've got a couple of them. Okay, it's not an expensive one. But of all the SGs I've played, I've never really played one better than this. I have. Well, I did a video. My pal's got one, which is you've been watching it. Sorry, but it's very similar. I had a Carina one that was in. I think it was a limited edition of 500 or something like that. Absolutely stunning looking guitar, but felt almost identical. It sounded almost identical to this one. But there is a huge variance in the Gibson ones. The tribute ones you get and the ones that came out after this. I remember when I bought this, it was expensive, and then a couple of years later, the SGs they brought out the faded one. I think they moved factory or they changed the specs significantly for the faded SG that came out. I don't know what, early 2000s, something like that. I remember thinking, oh man, it's like they're kind of almost the same price I paid for this one second hand with hundreds of dents in it. And then I played it and it was like, it's not the same guitar. Oh no, it's a much less of a guitar than this one is. Kind of why I've never bought another one. I mean, it's like I've got plenty of Tellys and Strats and all the Washburns and all these things. It's like, I'll buy I don't buy them just in different colours, but like with the Washburn wings, it's like there's not a huge difference between like the Hawk, Falcon and the Eagle. They just get more fancier the higher up you go. And I suppose technically I could have got an SG standard, which is basically, it's pretty much exactly the same guitar apart from it's got binding, better fret markings and covered pickups. And I prefer this type of pickguard. A lot of people don't like it. The Batman one, I think this has got the look. I'm not putting it out that I will be buying at some point. If I ever end up buying like a proper vintage expensive guitar, it will be like a 69 SG, the one that Tony Iommi used, P90s. I still one day I'm going to get one of them. They're a lot cheaper than the equivalent Les Pauls and stuff from that era. You didn't get Les Pauls in the 60s, but you know what I mean. Compared to Strats and all that, I mean they're still way out of my price range. But you can pick them up and they're kind of the sort of same price as a new SG standard to get one from the 60s. Okay, it doesn't have the the fancy inlays and stuff, which doesn't bother me anyway. I'd rather save money and just have dots than have the fancy stuff. You can't see it when you're playing it anyway. It's all a personal choice thing. Yeah, so if I was going to compare the two, I can't. If it was a case of which one of these am I going to keep, it's obviously going to be this one because I've had this forever. So I mean, it, even before we even start, there was never going to be a challenge to this guitar, because it's just new, and I don't have any time or sentiment invested in it. Also, I think if I sold this, I would end up having to buy another SG to replace it, which actually I suppose probably wouldn't be that hard. I think you can probably get. I mean, it's quite rare being Ferrari red. I don't think it was particularly rare at the time, but I think nobody bought them. Everyone bought the black one, and you see the white one not that often either. So yeah, or maybe people tend to keep these because they're maybe not worth that much more than the other ones. I actually noticed them last time I had it out. See, the headstock's gone all. I don't know if I can get the. See the sort of the cracking, relicking stuff on the headstock. That wasn't there. That wasn't there when I moved to it. Or was it there when I moved to this house? Definitely in the last couple of years, that's just happened out of nothing. Because I was looking at it like, what the? Thinking it was going to wipe off, and it's just like it must just once the wood gets to a certain age or a certain dampness or dryness or whatever it is, just causes it to crack. So it's not ideal. But in saying that, I bet you'd pay an extra £300 to get a headstock that looked like that if you were buying a new one. It's like somebody artificially aging it with a Stanley knife and all that. The thing about this guitar is I've not actually used this in the band yet. I've always had it for the whole band, and it's just I just get a horrible feeling if I turned up. It's a situation to be in. It's like I think the rest of the band would be like, "Oh, Gibson SG, no way, that's great. You should use that all the time." And it's like I don't want to use that. I don't want to be up on stage using an SG when I could be using something pure extremely silly, you know, like a Washburn Stage or a Falcon or the spiky one, or you know, something like that. It's a bit bland. Kind of feeling the same way about that with the Strat as well. Although they are really good guitars, it's like they're not that interesting. Although, like with that Strat being slightly more interesting because it's got the photo flame finish on it rather than just being a Strat, this is slightly more interesting having the ebony fingerboard and the fact it's Ferrari red. Makes it a little bit more interesting. Yeah. So I think this, oh, it weighs an awful lot more, is not really an SG. Well, it says it is an SG. It says so. Does it say SG 200 on the top? So it is an SG, but they named it wrong. It should have been a Les Paul. It's much more Les Paul-y than SG, I think. Even though this is, because this is the sort of, I suppose the equivalent, the studio model sort of thing. It doesn't have the carved top. It's a flat top, and it doesn't have all the binding and all that stuff. Whereas the same with the SG. Oh no, right. Well, the expensive SG is just the same as this. It's not like the difference between going from like a, you know, like a flat top Les Paul to a carved top. It's like it doesn't apply to this. This is just the you know, the real one. The real one, as in a standard, is literally exactly the same, apart from it's got a nicer paint job. It's not just dipped in red plastic like this one is. And as I said, covered pickups and bit of binding, bit of fancy stuff stuck on it, which doesn't do anything to the sound. Yeah, so I'm afraid it's going to have to be this one as the winner. And also, regardless of how much, and there's a lot of Yamaha SG fanboys out, there is an issue I have with the shape. It's not a pretty guitar. Well, it is, but it's not. It doesn't have this shape. This just looks so much more evil. Look, it actually looks a good bit smaller. In fact, am I holding these both at the same level? Well, maybe not. If I put the pickups in line, maybe it is a smaller guitar. Feels like. I can't remember where I was going there. Yeah, but I mean, I think the SG, when I started playing the guitar for the first few years, there was no option about what the best looking guitar was. It was the SG, and it was like it kept popping up all over the place, all the bands I liked. You know, but back then you couldn't just look up the internet and see what music people were playing. I'm looking purely at record covers and occasionally, you know, DVDs and videos that I bought. So you get, you know, this is the Who Rock and Roll Circus. It's, you know, the Stones Get Your Ya-Ya's out. It's on, you know, the Black Sabbath Volume 4. When I actually bought the expensive version of Black Sabbath Volume 4 with a gatefold on a fancy record label. And then because on the inside it was gatefold and it had a picture of Tony Iommi playing his Cherry Red SG. It's not a Cherry Red SG he had. Well, it's a Cherry Red SG had, but the way the lighting is in the photo that's on the inside, it looks like this colour. It looks like it's red as opposed to being cherry red, even though I know now it wasn't. And the Doors and the Beatles with a paperback writer and Rain videos, and you know, they just SGs seem to pop up everywhere I liked it. And I also love the fact that it's evil looking and very metal AC/DC as well, but it's still a classic if you kind of get it. You know, things like the Doors in the 60s were playing this, and it just looks always kind of reminded me of a crab as well. There's a crab scoop, like if this was the head of the crab, it's kind of crab shaped and Batman shaped and all that. Yeah, so I will be taking this into the studio with Cracking House at some point and tell them that not that I don't want to use it, just I feel I would rather be playing something a bit more exciting. But it does play, it plays really well. That's me just using the. Obviously it does do clean, but I'm not a fan of the clean on the humbuckers the same way. It doesn't have that spank that the single cars do. Yeah, so in conclusion, it's the winner is the Gibson, this one. Whether it would be the winner against one I wasn't so personally attached to, I don't know. Maybe it was just years of me when I got this, just like, you know, having 10 years of this being my guitar, going, yep, I got a Gibson SG. That's it, I don't need any more guitars. that didn't last that long. I did end up, I think actually after this, I didn't really buy any more guitars. I'm not really including ones, you know, I was occasionally picking up, you know, sort of silly ones for like 20, 30 quid and painting them and, you know, that sort of thing. I wasn't really talking about that. And this is back in the days when I didn't realise you could get a good guitar for like 100 quid. I thought you had to spend, you know, 500 quid to get it. I didn't spend any of that on this. This is my second most expensive guitar I've ever bought. Out of all, and I've not bought any since then. In fact, actually before this, the most expensive guitar I ever bought was the Schecter P-Bass, and then this was after that. Yeah, this was after the Schecter P-Bass. Wasn't in a band playing guitar or anything like that. And then the next one down was the Schecter Telecaster, which I think was the guitar after this. And then since then I've never gone as high. That was before I bought my Hondo Fame Telecaster, which was like pure like 40 quid or 30 quid, and it was like a really good guitar. And I was like, what? How can you can buy a guitar that's like pretty good and totally studio usable and giggable and all that for like 30, 40 quid? And it's like, because it was a Telecaster and a pointy headstock, which people don't like, so it's like there's a whole fashion thing going on about desirability and prestige, use that word again, all these things involved in guitaring. And it's like, so it's kind of swayed me against this and the Strat, because they're not common, but everyone knows they're good. But it's like, you get the more obscure things like your Ibanez Blazers and stuff, it's like, that's an amazing guitar, but doesn't have that everyone loves it. Yeah, so as I said before, I was next Trade Tuesday, I will probably try and end up with a Gibson Les Paul, and I'd like one that matches this. I'd like the red one that goes with this. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm not one for having. I do quite like having sets, actually. You know, like having a couple of the guitar and the bass version, or you know, maybe I'm not quite so that keen on having all the ones the same colour, but I quite like that idea. So this ain't for sale. Neither's that one, because I like that as well. I still think that's more of a Les Paul than an SG, even though it's called an SG. This is an SG, and it's called an SG. Yeah. Interesting. Not really that interesting, I suppose, probably for you lot watching it. But yeah, so I'm a Gibson SG player, even though I've been denied it forever. There's too much. What's okay, much slower version. I actually got, when rock radio used to exist, I sang Thunderstruck, the intro, on the radio, like the guitar part, and won tickets to go and see an AC/DC exhibition in the Kelvin Hall in Glasgow. And I think it was meant to be, it was an Australian thing, an Australian touring thing with all just, you know, just not merchandise, but, you know, memorabilia and stuff like that. And they toured Australia, and then after they'd done Australia, it was like, that got doing quite well, and it was like, right, where else could we go? And it was like, well, Scotland, they claim, because obviously Bon Scott and Angus and Malcolm Young, Angus and Malcolm Young are from Springburn, which is 3 miles away that way, halfway between me and Glasgow, and Bon Scott was from Kirriemuir, which I've still never actually been to, but I've seen signposts. I keep meaning to go. I think he's actually got it's somewhere it's going out towards Perth. I've seen the signs. On the way home from work when I was working in Pitlochry, I kept seeing it and thinking, I need to go to Kirriemuir just so I can get like I think there's a statue thing, like a wee memorial garden to Bon Scott. So that was why they moved that's why they did the exhibition in Scotland, because they could claim that we're claiming them AC/DC is Scottish as well. But the reason I was mentioning that was they had one of Angus's old guitars from, oh, what year was it? With the Donington, the Razor's Edge tour, and it got retired because the neck twisted, and it was this guitar. It wasn't red, it was black, but it had the ebony fingerboard, all the same parts, stock, was pure battered. So Angus actually toured the Razor's Edge tour using this exact model of guitar. So if it's good enough for Angus, it's good enough for me. Still have the original pickups in it, because I've actually seen it sitting in a glass case. It was like, yeah, that's mine. All the wee things that are slightly different with this guitar were identical to his one. Even though he obviously uses custom ones with lightning bolts on them, and he's got his own signature model and all these things, he was still playing this type of guitar for some gigs, maybe as his backup or a second one, or I don't know, whatever it was. Yeah, so that kept on. I just stopped the video about 10 minutes ago and just twaddle. Rock on, have a great new year. I'll be back doing lots more videos of stuff. I don't really know. I've got no plans for what they're going to be videos of. If you want to see videos of anything, message me, and if it's a good idea, I'll do it the following day, because I don't even normally know what video I'm going to do the day before I do it. Rock on. Love you all.